My hopes for DE&I over the next 5 years is that we evolve and we adapt to changing demands and intelligence in this space. We are now in a world where we have greater data about our workforce and our communities that allows us to make data-based decisions. But we also need to change historical processes and adapt to new socioeconomic and political environments that ensure that the great work that we're doing is still sensitive to those that we're trying to impact.
When I came into diversity and inclusion, probably 20 odd years ago, the conversation at that time was about how if we were going to be successful, in many ways we had to do ourselves out of a job. I'd actually like to see, and again, people won't thank me for saying this, but I'd like to see less diversity and inclusion jobs.
So I think most organisations, pretty much like ours, started off looking at targets, so focusing on the representation. For me, we need to now really focus, I think that's important, but we really need to focus on the inclusion element. So what does it mean to, for everybody in your organisation to feel that regardless of any protected characteristic, anything broader than that, that they truly belong?
Number one, we start to see an erosion of this rhetoric that DEI must die. And to do that, DEI has to, number one, professionalize. So ensuring that those DEI practitioners really have a strong grounding in technical skills. Number two, really aligned to delivering those business outcomes, and that we can see that proved time and time again. And then I think for me also, it's how organizations reflect where their D&I professionals work, the level at which they work, which I think to be most effective is at a strategy level.
So I'd like to see us continue on the trajectory that we've been on in the last 10 years, and specifically from a wellbeing perspective, I very much see wellbeing as kind of 5 years behind DE&I. So I think we're slowly catching up, and organisations are slowly recognising that wellbeing is as important as DE&I. And I think for me, success in the next 5 to 10 years will be seeing all big organisations have someone who has the remit to be responsible for wellbeing alongside DE&I.
My hopes are around actually we just start to see good outcomes being driven. What do I mean by that? I was with somebody and this just really landed with me. They sat there and said, if we look after the planet in terms of how we live on it, what resources we take from it, actually we're safeguarding the planet for future generations. If we treat people decently, if we have a good moral compass, then actually we will create environments where people can be their authentic selves at work. They'll want to join the organisations. They'll want to stay with the organisation. They'll advocate for our business. And on the back of that, if you do those I won't say simple things, but if you do those things, then actually good financial outcomes will be driven by it. And I think for me, that would be a really powerful thing to happen. We don't have to drive the DE&I agenda because we have to set targets because otherwise things don't change. Actually, if we hold ourselves to account, we operate in a morally responsible way, then actually the culture does become inclusive. We treat people with dignity and respect. A snowball effect starts to happen. And then you get good financial outcomes, and then you can invest in other different things. And it's just that reinforcing situation.